Boom, coming in hot on this Tuesday, baby. On this Tuesday, it's going to be a great day today because I got one of my best friends in the world coming on with me. But not only one of my best friends, this guy is the biggest baseball nerd probably in the world. This guy knows more about baseball. Like, you see him on MLB Tonight, but he's in his office looking at baseball cards and doing his thing, and he's doing it at his house, and he thinks about baseball 24/7. He's the best in the business, absolute best in the business, multi-time Emmy-winning winner, MLB Tonight, and also with the MLB Tonight national pregame show. But like I said, a great friend of mine, a colleague for 17 years. I knew this dude when he was in his 20s, and he was just getting ready to go, and now he's the best in the business. My great friend, Greg Amsinger. Singer, what's up, dude?
Oh, man, what an honor to be in the mayor's office, man. I've been watching this podcast. You and Rich Cincinnamino, who obviously I know really well.
Yes.
Means the world to me. One of the most talented people I've ever worked with in my entire broadcasting career. The fact that you two guys started this, you've added so much amazing content to the baseball landscape. I thank you both because we need more people like this making content that gets baseball fans addicted to the sport that I clearly have been addicted to. My nickname was Greggy Goo Goo back in the day. But, one quick thing before we move on, and this will take 24 seconds. When I met Sean Casey, deep down, I couldn't stand Sean Casey. And the reason was because Sean Casey beat the crap out of the St. Louis Cardinals every single game. And I never missed a game. And I would watch bases loaded, third inning, 2 outs. Sean Casey hits a bullet against the wall, clears the bases. And then the next half inning, Aaron Miles gets a hit, and he's standing there laughing with Sean on first base. I'm like, stop smiling with this guy. He wears this out, and then you're all being friends with him at first base. It drove me crazy because we couldn't get you out, dude. Just couldn't get you out. Then I meet you, and you're like the most beautiful human I've ever met in my entire life, and you have enriched my life. Our friendship has enriched my life. So there's your 24 seconds.
Singer, you're the best, dude. Thank you so much. You're the only blemish you have. Like, I love you like a brother, a soulful brother. But the fact that you're a Cardinal fan is the only thing that kind of bothers me a little bit. Not to say, you know what I mean? Because, dude, I just playing in the NL Central all those years, and I've gotten to know Tony La Russa after baseball, so I like Tony. But I must admit, when I played, I did not like Tony La Russa. As a matter of fact, I despised Tony La Russa just because, he was, and maybe I just despised him because he was so good. You know what I mean? Maybe because he found ways to win, but he was always doing things like, Singer, like you take batting practice. You have a certain time. You're done. If you're on the road, you're done, I think, at 6:20, 6:15. So you have time to navigate, little routine. I used to have my mental routine, and then bam, I'm ready to go for the game. Well, for whatever reason, when you go to St. Louis, it's like 15 minutes later. So we get done with BP like 6:30. And now you're like grinding to like, oh my gosh, routine. I got to get out and play. And I always remember Tony was such a mind man, the law degree, all that stuff. That was on purpose. So many intentional things like that on purpose.
And Albert Pujols, who I think was Tony's favorite player of all time.
Yeah.
Really.
Rightfully so.
He mirrored that kind of fierce mentality. And one of the many reasons I loved Albert Pujols was because he wasn't as friendly at first base with guys like you. Like, he was in the zone. He had the aura of Tony La Russa when he played. And as a fan, I want my favorite players to fiercely try to beat Sean Casey, not love on Sean Casey when they get to first base. That's just me. I'm a bit old school that way.
Dude,
I personally think that this was like a reverse you like to soften up your opponent so you can bite their head off. I think it was all a game. You're like, bro, I'm going to love on this guy, and then I'm going to walk up to the plate, and he's going to soften just a little bit. It's a game of inches, right? Game of inches. You would soften your opponent and then take their head off.
Dude, I was a Jekyll and Hyde. When I look back, there's a little truth to that. Not softening anybody, but I must admit, like, during the game, when I got in the box, I feel like I became this, like, Jekyll. Like, I was like,
monster.
I was like, am I a maniac? I was like, why do I feel like I actually just want to charge this guy and take him out and send him packing? You know what I mean? Like, but like on first base, guy would come down. Hey, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Like, it was like there was Hyde. He was like, oh yeah. I get in the box though. It was like this animal would jump inside me, like a Wolverine. Like, okay, like you're trying to take you're trying to take my life away from me. It ain't happening.
I'm watching you, right? As a youngster growing up, I'm like, this is who this dude really is. When he's like, looking like a bull with his legs and stuff. I'm like, this is the real Sean Casey. He's fierce. He's like walking back. He's spitting. He's frowning at the pitcher. And I'm like, why are they all falling for this game at first base? This is a game. But no, it actually was truly who you are. You're just a wonderful human being.
Oh, dude, thanks, brother. Thanks a lot. Yeah, dude, I want to stay there for a second, Singer, before we get into baseball, because over the years, really getting to know you and getting to know your stories, and how our friendship has evolved over the last 17 years, which I can't believe it's been 17 years.
Crazy.
Absolutely incredible. Like, dude, why are you a baseball fan? Why did you like the Cardinals? You know what I mean? Like, you have a passion for baseball. Seriously, maybe like no one I have in my life, and I've been around Major League Baseball for 30 years. If someone told me, "Hey, who's your friend that loves baseball the most?" I'm like, Greg Amsinger.
I love it. There's one story where I fell in love with it. In 1985, the Cardinals were in the National League Championship Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we're sitting in this tiny living room in South St. Louis. And it's my dad's parents' house, my grandparents, and all the aunts and uncles. And it's jammed. I mean, I have a huge family. So it's like the kids never got a seat. You sit on the floor. That's where you watch TV. So we're watching a TV set, right? And the TV set, the audio's not on. And they're listening to Jack Buck blare the radio in the living room, and Jack Buck's calling the game on the radio. But there's this crazy delay, which as a kid, I'm 6 years old. I have no idea why the audio doesn't match the video. I'm not saying anything because the parents and the aunts and uncles seem to be into it, right? Out of nowhere, I know Ozzie Smith. They call him the Wizard. I like the Wizard of Oz. It was a fun movie, so I like Ozzie. He does flips and stuff, kind of cool. So Ozzie Smith steps up to the plate against Tom Niedenfuer, and out of nowhere, my aunts and uncles, my mom and dad, my grandparents are like crying, hugging, jumping up and down in the living room, and Niedenfuer hasn't thrown a pitch yet. And I'm looking around, and I hear Jack Buck screaming, "Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!" And clearly, all my relatives are doing that, right? And then all of a sudden, I see Ozzie hit the home run. He never hits home runs. I'm like, this is the most magical sport in the world. I was addicted from that point forward. I absolutely loved. And I like to feel my feelings, Sean. Love suspense. I love build up. There is no sport that makes you sit in it like baseball. Bases loaded, ninth inning, 2 outs. Your team's down a run. Sean Casey's at the plate. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. He fouls it away. We do it again. Pitcher gets a ball. He's back on the mound. You're back on the edge of your seat. Here's the next pitch. He fouls another one away. And you're like, oh my God. And you're sitting there. Yeah, there's no sport that makes you sit in it like this. So I love the theatrics of it. I love how great television can be. I mean, as you know, I love TV every bit as much, making television. So mirroring the pace of baseball with my love of television, it's the perfect marriage.
That's a great story. And it shows too, like, I agree with that. Like, a big part of me loving baseball was some moments with my family, really with my dad. Like, oh man, did you see what, Willie Starter, did you see Barry Bonds, or did you see Andy Van Slyke, that throw he made home? And my dad got, day game season tickets was all we could afford back in the day. Get and I just love that connection with my family. I think that, and especially my father, I think that's what brought me to loving baseball. And I could see that excitement, like you said, oh, your family's going nuts. You're like, I'm in. Whatever's going on here, I'm in.
My grandfather he took me to my first ever game, and he loved baseball. And my dad was more of a football player. And I remember walking into Busch Stadium, the old Busch Stadium, and I saw the turf, the green turf, and I like got butterflies. I was like, that's where all of these legends play. I'm looking at this field that I would look at once or maybe twice a week, because not all the games were televised. So to see the actual field was just like, I romanticized about it so often. And then to see Ozzie Smith in person, I just was completely blown away. And now my life is like this weird, crazy movie that Ozzie Smith's cell phone is in my phone. And I hung out with him in Cooperstown for induction weekend. And Sean Casey, who I couldn't stand at the 2006 World Series, is one of my best friends in life. Like, it's just the weirdest thing ever. But honestly, why would that all come together? Because of love and passion for something. And when you love something and you're passionate about it, good things fall in your lap. And this is just falling in my lap.
Well, dude, you've taken the ball and run with it, man. You've taken the ball and run with it and created your own incredible life. Is Ozzie Smith the Hall of should he be a Hall of Famer? Seriously, I'm serious.
Well, you're not asking that question.
No, I'm asking. You know why I'm asking? Because there's so many, there's so many things with numbers and everything like that. Like defensively, is is that tell me why? Tell me why. There's some people that say he was great. He was the best defender out there, but does that make you a Hall of Famer?
When you're the greatest defensive player ever, when you're the greatest player to do anything on a field ever of all time. And oh, by the way, you're pretty famous. Can I just remind you that at one point in his career, when year 2 of his contract kicked in with the St. Louis Cardinals, when he re-signed in free agency, he was the highest paid player in the sport. A guy that hit 2 home runs a year was the highest paid player in the sport, over $3 million. And then soon after that, I don't know if it was Dave Winfield or Nolan Ryan, but somebody passed him. For a guy that hit 2 home runs and never struck out, switch hitter, the best defensive player, that's when baseball was its smartest. We're so smart now, Sean, we're dumb.
Oh, I like
Like
that. I like that.
back in the day, the baseball writers that covered this had to paint a picture as to what happened in the game. How did the team win or lose the game? Back in the day, players like Larry Bowa would have a whole write up in the recap because with 2 outs, no, with 1 out, bases loaded, up by 2, the great Larry Bowa dove and deflected the ball to keep the base hit from staying out of the outfield. He kept it in the infield. Only 1 run was allowed to score. And Steve Bedrosian got out of the jam, and the Philadelphia Phillies held on to that 1-run lead. They would eventually win the game. So Larry Bowa, who would go 1 for 5 in the game with a sac bunt, was the hero of the game because he dove to keep a ball in the infield. That's back when baseball writing was at its highest level. And those are the details that Ozzie Smith enjoyed in his career because people watched the games he played. He would change the momentum of a baseball game with his defense. Who does that now? Find the player that does that now. His defense was so incredible that he would change and flip the momentum of a baseball game. You can never strike him out. He batted second. There was always someone who could fly, like Vince Coleman batting in front of him. He would bunt. He was an incredible bunter. And all you have to do, Sean, is ask pitchers who they prefer to face. When there's bases loaded, they would, and obviously we love this person immensely. Hall of Famer Jim Thome is one of the greatest home run hitters of all time. But talk to any pitcher, and they'd rather face Jim Thome with the bases loaded than Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith is putting the ball in play. Ozzie Smith can fly. He stole over 50 bags a year. That's not who you want to face with the bases. You want the guy who's got the swing and miss in his game. Ozzie didn't have any of that in his game. So I just wish the game wasn't so broad and we actually looked into the details like we used to because there are many different ways to win a baseball game, and Ozzie Smith did that. I asked him, do you think you'd make it to the big leagues now because your lack of offense went early on in your career? He goes, no, not at all. And that's sad. That means we have to recalibrate the way we're looking at player value, for real.
I love this though. I love being able to ruffle your feathers a little bit on the host side, as you do on me on MLB Tonight when you come up with some of your stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's that. It goes back to the whole look. I'm wearing a Mariners jersey for a reason. Okay, last night a catcher his 50th home run. Like we should be throwing a parade for Cal Raleigh. I never thought in my life I would see a catcher hit 50 home runs in a season. He's on pace for 61. He's on pace to tie Aaron Judge's American League single season record. And yet there is a debate about who's the MVP. Why is there a debate? The dude is a former platinum glove winning catcher. That is incredible defensive merit. The Mariners are trying to claw their way into the playoffs right now. Cal Raleigh has 10 more home runs than Aaron Judge. I don't know why should not be a debate. Cal Raleigh is by far the most valuable player in the American League. Cal Raleigh, matter of fact, is the most valuable player in baseball this year. He's more valuable than Shohei Ohtani because of the defensive position he plays. We need to get back to understanding what that is. Instead of just looking at OPS, Aaron Judge's OPS is like it's like almost 200 points higher. Like his WAR is so. It's lazy analysis. Watch the baseball games. How many foul tips did Cal Raleigh take off his groin this year? How many foul tips did Aaron Judge take off his groin this year? I want that stat, Sean. I want that stat.
Oh my God. You know what, bro? I think a little bit, that should be a stat. If they have the stats for everything else, they might as well come on. How many ricochets off the nuts are catchers taking, you know what I mean, in the game?
And he still hits. He's got 50 homers, man. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're so smart. We're just giving away this wonderful, the wonderful achievements by great baseball players because we're just looking at stats.
It's a great point, dude. It's a great, I mean, you know what? Last time I was in, you know, obviously you guys came after me a little bit because I was siding with Judge before Judge got hurt. But you did make me think, you know, at the catcher position for what that entails day in and day out, having to have a whole extra meeting every day with those pitchers to figure out a game plan of what we're doing and the mental capacity that takes. And then to hit 50 home runs and to be really driving the bus for the Mariners, you know, trying to take over in the AL West. Yeah, I have to say I'm starting to lean towards what you're saying. I understand it. And the fact that I must admit, I think we had the conversation right after the All-Star break, and I kept thinking there's a whole nother half to go. Well, now that we're leaning towards the end of August, this guy's still doing it. Now I think it's real, and I understand what you're saying.
Aaron Judge right now can't play the field. They're hoping that he can play the field relatively soon. Even when he plays the field, all we keep hearing, and my friend Harold Reynolds keeps saying he needs to play right field immediately to get Stan's bat in the lineup. Stan can't play right field. All he keeps saying is you only have to make 2 to 3 throws on average a game from right field. Put him out there. He can get a fly ball, but you only have to make 2 to 3 throws a game. So that analysis is reminding me how different right field is compared to being a catcher. Right? I mean, essentially, he's saying, look, man, right field isn't anywhere near as valuable as being a catcher. And he did a great breakdown tape showing in the last month how many foul balls ricocheted off the face mask of Cal Raleigh, or off his wrist, or off his below his shin guard, where it literally moments where he had to catch his breath, and the home plate umpire would give him time because he was in so much pain. Think about that. Like that. This is what this guy is doing, and he's got 10 more home runs than Judge. He's got many more RBIs than Judge. It's not to me. I don't think it's a conversation, but the group think movement has the BBWAA. They all hold hands across the street together, and they all follow. They all follow the war leader. And the war leader's like, all right, boys, you all ready? Let's go across the street. And they're all going to hold hands, and they're going to walk and vote for Aaron Judge. That's what's going to happen.
Oh my God. I can't wait to see what happens. You know what? I think also too, I know it doesn't count for the postseason, but I really do think if the Mariners get in, you know, if they make that run at the end, I really believe that's going to sway some votes too, just to get in.
Well, I know you want to move on, but real quick, since he came off the IL, Aaron Judge is sitting there. Now he had hit last night. He's probably hit 210. And what I want to do on the national pregame show, starting September 1st, we do a segment every Monday called The Great Race for NL MVP, because there's so many candidates, and it's not just Ohtani and a landslide anymore. Schwarber's having a monster year, Yelich, all that stuff. I want to do a September sprint for the AL MVP. I want to play along with all of you that think that Aaron Judge is going to win the MVP. If you could just all somehow have it in your heart to think that Cal Raleigh is at least tied with Aaron Judge right now. Pretend he's tied. 10 more homers, 13 more RBIs. Just pretend he's tied. Come September 1st, who outperforms the other dude? Because both teams are in the wild card right now. Who outperforms the other guy to get their team into the playoffs? Isn't that might be a fair way to assess this whole thing? Yeah. Would you agree?
I agree, and I do. If you do think about it, Cal Raleigh, the catchers are like pitchers; they're touching the ball every single pitch. You know, besides balls that are put in play. So you're right. That has to factor in on the last month how that staff's doing, how he runs the staff, how, all that stuff. So I agree, bro. Hey, listen, you're doing it good. You're swaying at least one guy. This guy right here is starting to understand what you're saying going down the road. Before we get even into some more stuff, I want to go back to something you said about Ozzie Smith when you talked about bunting. Because I look at the Brewers right now, I look at the Blue Jays, I look at some of these teams that are in first place. If you really pay attention to them, which I know you are more than anybody, they are laying bunts down. Guy on second base, one out, no outs. They're getting them over, getting them in, and winning these one-run games. Do you think the bunt is going to start to come back in the game where it's more valuable that, like, okay, runs are at a premium with the pitching nowadays. You gotta be able to put runs across the board. Do you think that's going to come back, or do you think that's just a couple teams doing it?
To me, I don't know how much more data you need to see to understand the fundamentals of baseball are at a very low point. Watch any one of the Red Sox-Yankee games over the weekend. The Yankees played fundamentally the worst series I've ever seen in 2025. They threw the ball all over the yard. They were caught sleeping. There was a pickoff at first base, and Goldschmidt wasn't even holding the runner. Like, mental lapses 24/7. And I believe in, obviously, the human aspect of this. So I like talking to former players, right? When I ask a former pitcher, what's the first word that pops into your head when a guy drops down a bunt? They all say the same word: shit. Okay, right?
They do. They do.
Right. So if a pitcher's cruising and they're in a rhythm, and you can force that pitcher to go, shit, I don't even care if he gets you out. You just injected anxiety into a professional athlete, and you made him jump off a mound, grab a baseball, heave it as hard as he can, sidearm, not his natural throwing motion, to first base, even if he gets you out. You injected and you messed with his muscle memory. His mechanics are in a rhythm. He is getting the ball out of the glove at the same spot. He's feeling it. He's touching his back pocket. He's getting his foot down. He's got all of his mechanics flowing by just dropping a bunt down. You're messing with the entire collaboration of this human being. That's it. That's if he gets you out. So
Right. That's if he doesn't throw it down the right field line.
Yes, there's value in this. I would love a stat. Show me a pitcher's statistics after a bunt. We just think about the initial outcome. Oh, he got you out. Bad play. Wait a minute. Was Max Scherzer cruising after that? What? How did Max Scherzer bounce back on the mound after you made him sprint down a hill, barehand a ball, and throw it against his body as hard as he can to first base? So I look at things from a human perspective, guys that actually played, what they tell me, what they think about when that moment comes. Like, oh shit, like that if I'm running the front office, I look at players who can help me inject that kind of stress. Ron Darling is one of the smartest people in the world. We played baseball at Yale. We're friends with Ron Darling. The team he hated facing, even though he had a lot of success against this team, he hated pitching against the St. Louis Cardinals in the 1980s because he would induce weak contact. They would beat out a ground ball to short for a single. Vince Coleman is on third base 3 pitches later. Now he's sweating. He's got someone stealing signs at second base. Willie McGee's at the plate, not striking out. Like, he hated facing this team. And he's a smart dude. So I think there are teams that are trying to win. And I've said this for a very long time. I know I'm a little long-winded. Baseball has started to morph into a sport where everyone's doing what they need to do for their agents for 8 innings. exit velo, 3 hacks. I'm throwing this as hard as I can with the most RPMs when I throw a slider. So everyone is playing for themselves for 8 innings. And if the game's still close after 8, then they play baseball. Unless you wear a uniform that says Brewers across the front.
Exactly, dude. I think you just described, like, when I think of the Cardinals in the 80s and, Vince and McGee and all those guys running, stealing bases, getting on, bunting, putting pressure on the defense. I look at the Brewers and I go, Terang, Frelick, Durbin, Yelich is obviously doing his thing, but Yeah, Collins, Perkins. Yeah, even Andrew Vaughn can hit you out of the ballpark. But what they do is they put pressure on you. They put the ball in play. They put pressure on you, and they play great defense, dude. You play the Brewers, they're giving you 27 outs. Because you know and I know in the big leagues, you give people 28, 29 outs. These guys are the best people in the world. They're going to make you pay. Look at Scooble yesterday. Look at Scooble's line. He ended up giving up six runs. One of them earned.
One earned.
2 errors. Okay, I don't care if you're Tarek Scuba, whoever. If you're giving an extra out to big league ball players, they're going to make you pay.
100%. And when Willie Adames left in free agency, right, to go to the San Francisco Giants, we're like, okay, well, who are the Brewers going to go get? Are they just going to mail this in? They're letting all their best players walk. They stick with Joey Ortiz. Like, well, this guy, he doesn't have a bat. So then maybe he figured some things out, and that's why they're going to give him the job. Spring training, it didn't hit. Then first month of the season, he's hitting under 200. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, Willie Adames led this team in homers and RBIs, and they're replacing him with a guy that. But then we've interviewed so many Brewers on the national pregame show. I go, all right, we're interviewing Perkins. I go, hey man, Blake Perkins, who's the next Brewer we need to interview? And without hesitation, he goes, Joey Ortiz. Joey Ortiz is like, he's our guy. We all love him. He's the most popular guy on the team. He grinds. Every at bat, he's on every pitch defensively. Our pitchers love him. Like, all of a sudden, I'm reminded again, they're not robots. Oh yeah,
they're humans.
Human beings love human beings, and I'm sure the front office saw that this kid Joey Ortiz was wildly popular among the guys, and Willie Adames was wildly popular. He leaves, so you're like, you know what? This kid doesn't mess up defensively. He's trying to get better defense or offensively, so let's invest in him. And when you see professional sports and the word commitment involved, that's why the Anthony Volpe story is such a unique one, because I've never seen this length of a leash for any player in the Bronx to be, statistically speaking, a below average player for this long, and yet they're still loyal to him. They have committed to Anthony Volpe. It's frustrating for baseball fans in New York to watch it, but it's beautiful if you cover the sport, because it's such a unique thing to watch these days. So to see Joey Ortiz, and since the All-Star break, he's been swinging a better bat, have a commitment from an organization, that to me is part of the stew, Sean. It's part of this human stew that is thriving in Milwaukee. I know they're all eating burgers because they want for
they're eating bratwurst. They're eating bratwurst, bro.
It's really the stew. It's the stew that is why the Brewers are so special.
There's definitely bratwurst in that stew, though, bro. I know.
Like the leftover bratwurst. So my mom used to do that all the time.
Oh, it's so good. The tailgate from the day before, they're like, hey, come on now, Bill. We're going to meet up at noon again. We got a new stew coming. It's all the bratwurst that we had yesterday is in the stew today.
We both come from humble beginnings. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So good. What about ABS, dude? What about, because I'm watching my son Jake play right now in the minors, and I'm really enjoying it. And the ABS is down there. And dude, so, Jake will get a pitch, and he's got a great eye. He'll get a pitch off the plate, and I'm like, and when he first was there, I think you're nervous to challenge it because you don't want to be the guy that misses and then like screws the team. But I'm now loving this system. Like, I got 2 of them. Like a couple times, he's like, instead of being 0-2, now he's 1-1. He's won both. He's challenged twice, and he's 2 for 2. What do you think about the ABS system, dude? Is this good for baseball? Or is it another thing that we're like, oh, the human element?
Look, living in St. Louis, the weather changes every 5 minutes, and you dark black cloud coming. You're like, oh no, comes a storm. It's gonna be wild. ABS is coming. Like, we're kidding ourselves if we think this is coming to the big leagues. It's coming to the big leagues, and it's just going to make another layer of gamesmanship, because you're going to see certain players when they break into the big leagues, they're not allowed to do this. They're not allowed to do it, and each team will use this technology differently. I think it's important to clean up mistakes, and when there's a big moment in a game and there's a pitch that's this far off the plate, the game should not be decided by a human error. And we've just been okay with it. I mean, the Deckinger call against the St. Louis Cardinals got a ton of pub because it was clearly a mistake. And that stinks that a mistake can decide the outcome of a World Series, right? But for the entire life of this sport, we've had balls and strikes incorrectly called in pivotal moments. Pivotal moment. I couldn't imagine being you and looking back at a moment where you knew that was ball four, but you got punched out looking like, and it changed the outcome of a game. Like that would eat me alive. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to expect you to suck at your job? So I have to chase now on a ball off the plate? Like now it starts making hitters go. I remember Harold Reynolds saying all the time, you got to know the home plate umpire's zone. You got to know their zone. Well, time out. Your bosses are general managers and front office executives who are telling you to not swing at balls. So now you show up one day and there's a home plate umpire that's bad at their job. And now your job changes and you have to swing at balls?
Because he's bad?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we're righting the wrongs of human error. I like the fact we're not getting rid of the umpires. I've had a conversation. I called a game in the minor leagues last year. It was an exploratory game 2 years ago. Francisco Alvarez was playing in the minor leagues for the New York Mets. And we aired this on MLB Network. And afterwards, we went to the bars, shocker for me. And I saw all the umpires, and they're all in their mid-20s. And I chat with them, and they go, Greg, we love this stuff. This is going to help us get to the big leagues. We love the challenge of all of it. We want them to compete against us. Oh, you think that's a ball? Tap your helmet. Oh, it's actually a strike. I nailed that. So that the older guard umpire might not like this, but the new wave, they're like they're gladiators behind the plate. They want to be right. So it's coming. It's great for the game, and it's going to take away so much drama that's unnecessary.
Yeah, one thing that I've seen, because I think Jake's eye has been one of his strengths, and sometimes in D1 baseball, if it's 3-2 and it's within this far off the plate either way, you go. You know what I mean? It's just like it's strike three. And I said, dude, keep the eye in pro ball. You're going to get rewarded. Well, here, this is what I noticed having played 2.5 years in the minors back in the day or whatever. You always look, hey, low A balls or low A umpires are low A umpires for a reason, double A, triple A, and then you get to the big leagues. And even when I would go down on a rehab to triple A, I'm like, these guys are terrible. Like the guys in the big leagues are that much better. That's what I used to think. Dude, I'm watching these A-ball games. He's in Dunedin in the Florida State League. Because of the ABS system and the account, whatever you measure improves. I really believe that. In life, whatever you measure improves. Because of the system and them, getting it right, getting it wrong, and being measured all the time. Dude, these umps are legit. I'm not kidding you. Gregor, at that level, these A-ball umps, I'm like, man, these guys are really good. This zone is really tight. And I believe because you're measuring yourself all the time. Oh, man, that was 2 inches off. Okay, tomorrow my eyes are now better to say, no, that's a ball. It was a ball yesterday. Today, I know. I called it a strike yesterday. I just think, dude, for me, when I'm watching these A-ball umps, I just think it's going to make the umpiring better.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I do like the extra layer of gamesmanship. Like the fact that we're going to see a playoff game someday, 8th inning, bases loaded, and this pitch is right on the corner, and all of a sudden, last challenge for the New York Mets, and they go, and the umpire got it right. You're screwed. No more challenges. Like that adds some drama, and I'm all for it, man. I'm a big fan of it. I think Commissioner Manfred's done an incredible job enhancing the sport of baseball. I've already been in love with it, but this is just making it better. I love the human element, but it shouldn't decide the outcome of games.
I agree. Before you get, dude, I feel like I could talk to you for 5 hours. I appreciate you.
I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah.
Dude, I got a couple other things I want to kind of go what's going on in these races because, dude, there's nobody I'd rather talk about this than you. And like I said, I don't think people understand when we're on TV together, I'm like, oh, this is going to be next great 2-3 hours. Just we're talking baseball. We're just like we're doing here, which is incredible. You're in your house, I'm in my house. Talk about the greatest game in the world. But you got a front row every night, Singer, dude. You're on every single night watching this. Do you think the Toronto Blue Jays win this AL East?
Yeah. And what I saw Friday makes me go, whoa, they might go to the World Series.
Wow.
Shane Bieber with a mustache is I mean, that was a grown man that entered Toronto, and I'm telling you right now, they felt like a superstar arrived. This is a team that already has great pitching. Like Lauer's got a sub-3 ERA. He's a lefty. I like breaking up the lineups because teams will readjust based on your starting pitcher, but he's probably going to have to go to the bullpen. Max Scherzer had another strong start yesterday. I mean, his last 6 starts get an ERA under 2.5. Okay, so that's Max Scherzer. You're not taking the ball from Max Scherzer in the postseason. So now I guess Chris Bassett goes to the bullpen, but then I'm torn there because his ERA on the road's over 6. I get it. His ERA at Rogers Center is almost sub 2. So if I have a home playoff game, how do I not have my best home pitcher start that game? Bieber, Dan Plesac, who I think knows more about pitching than anyone, said he's game 1. He's game 1. That's how great his stuff looked on Friday, making his 2025 debut. So,
Wow.
from a pitching perspective, you got Barrios and Gossman. Oh, by the way, you got Barrios and Gossman. They're a sneaky version of the Milwaukee Brewers. The Addison Barger's been a grinder. The Ernie Clement has been a grinder. Alejandro Kirk had a couple hits. His 11th home run of the year. He's an on-base machine, on base over 360. They've got players now it's a great supporting cast.
Bichette's had an incredible year.
Bichette and Vladdy, we know those are the guys. Those guys had to be the guys. But George Springer, fountain of youth, right? Had another stolen base last night. He looks like he's 25 years old again. They've got the magic pixie dust. The only thing that I'm a bit concerned with is, does the bullpen have enough? Is Hoffman going to get the final outs in the 9th inning of a wild card game, of a World Series game? I think the Blue Jays right now, with the addition of Bieber, not only are they going to win the East as much as I like what the Red Sox are doing, but I think they're the favorite at the moment to go to the World Series.
Wow, really? Okay, you heard it here in the mayor's office. Singer said it.
Yeah.
What I want to, so another race that I'm intrigued on are the Dodgers Padres. You know, it's been back and forth. There's been some head to head. Obviously, the Dodgers now have the tiebreaker because of the head to head, but now the Padres are 1 game back. Who wins it?
Michael King has to come back. He's coming back at some point this week, at the end of the week. He's been making rehab starts. I'm hearing great things. He has to be their Shane Bieber. The way I just described Shane Bieber to the Blue Jays, Michael King has to come back and completely solidify that rotation. Yu Darvish's last start was good. He's up there in age now, but he looks like he's throwing the ball every bit as well as he's ever thrown it. They need Michael King. You cannot make Dylan Cease be a game 1 or game 2 starter. We learned that last year in the postseason. I like Dylan Cease a lot. He's spin heavy, but he just gets a bit too erratic. And one of those breaking balls in the worst moment always gets hung over the middle of the plate, and that's what a good team feasts on Dylan Cease. Michael King has to come back and look like the way he looked early on this year and last year when we were like, wow, this is a Cy Young contender, right? He has to come back and be great. If that happens, the Padres could pull this off because, Sean, I'm telling you right now, that is the best bullpen in baseball.
Oh, dude.
That bullpen is the best in the game, but they can't really be dangerous unless they get into the game with a lead.
Right.
So they need a lead.
Right.
And Michael King has to come back and be great. If that happens, I'm taking the Padres over the Dodgers.
Wow. Okay. That's all. I like that. I like that. Can the Mets make a run against in the East? Obviously, they're holding off the Reds right now, and the Cardinals are way back, but they're holding off the Reds for that wild card spot. Can they make a run at the Phillies in the East?
So I would have said no going into yesterday, but Christopher Sanchez, and this was important for me. I wanted to see this in a big series against the New York Mets. You're number 1. You're the new Zach Wheeler. Over the weekend, we found out Zach Wheeler is definitely not coming back. He's going to need surgery, so he's done for the year. And he's by far the number 1 game 1 guy. Game 1, game 7, it's Zach Wheeler. Now, it's real. Christopher Sanchez, you're the ace. And Christopher Sanchez wasn't very good. Walked 3 guys, struck out 4. His changeup just wasn't, they weren't biting in his changeup. And to me, that the Phillies could be gettable. They could be gettable. If they're lacking a number 1 dominator, I still think the world of Christopher Sanchez, and hopefully it was just a bad start. But that's a lot of pressure to put on one guy. And I know Ranger Suarez has been pretty good last couple of weeks, but Christopher Sanchez has to be a legit Cy Young contender against Paul Skeens and a game 1 guy down the stretch to ensure that this is, because there are a lot of things I like about the New York Mets right now. Mark Vientos is coming out of hibernation. All of a sudden, that right-handed bat is waking up. Luis Torrens had a big game yesterday. Home run, 3 hits, and he's now the catcher because Francisco Alvarez, we don't know with his injured thumb what they're going to get. And this kid was tearing the cover off the ball when he came back from the IL. The starting pitching of the New York Mets scares me. Kodai Senga wasn't great, didn't go 5 innings. Pitch count got up there a little bit. Ryan Helsley looked good last night. They needed him to start figuring things out. But I do think the New York Mets, who have a favorable schedule, could make this close in the East if the starting pitching doesn't hold the fort. Because, man, you're putting a lot of pressure on Jesus Luzardo, who had a 6-start stretch where he looked like the worst pitcher in baseball. Taijuan Walker, who you've never loved on, you keep taking him in and out of the rotation. Now those two guys are like, you need them.
You need them.
And Aaron Nola's got an ERA over 6, and he doesn't look like he has any swing and miss right now. So this whole great year for the Phillies could flip on its head in a hot second if Christopher Sanchez doesn't grab the bull by the horns and be the superstar ace that Zach Wheeler's always been.
Great stuff, dude. Great stuff. What about NL MVP?
I mean,
What's your opinion on that? Are you considering Ohtani back as a pitcher, or is he just, hey, you got a couple 3 innings here for?
You know, he's not stealing bases, and he hasn't been dominant on the mound. His last start wasn't very good. Now, do I think that's a bit of like a? To me, I think the Dodgers play chess when everyone else is playing checkers. That's just the way I look at the Dodgers. Dan Plesac doesn't think he's anything more than a Game 5 starter, but he'll be more of a bullpen piece. Man, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Shohei Ohtani's dictating what he does. Okay, he's letting the Dodgers know what he's going to do. Shohei Ohtani's going to start a playoff game. I think Shohei Ohtani will be great on the mound eventually. But as I look at this season, and he's got a lot of runs scored. I mean, he's got over 120 runs scored, which is wild. But he's not running as much. He doesn't have as many home runs as Kyle Schwarber. I just think Kyle Schwarber, the value of Schwarber improving so dramatically against left-handed pitching, he's a better hitter against lefties than righties. Did anyone ever think that would be the case? That dramatic improvement to me is eerily similar to what I'm looking at with Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh was always 30 and 100, okay? But now he's flirting with a 60 homer season. That dramatic improvement is incredible value to their team. And what Kyle Schwarber has done against lefties and being the best hitter against lefties now on his team, I just think at the moment, even though he's a DH, and I know Ohtani mostly is a DH and he pitches some, if I had to vote today, I would pick Kyle Schwarber as the MVP. He's got, 45 home runs. Second most home runs on the team is Bryce Harper with 21. Second most. That's a dramatic difference. I would go Schwarber as of today for the NL MVP.
Love that take. I love that. I love that take. I have to touch on it because we have a lot of Reds fans on here, and Cincinnati's kind of making that run. They're 68 and 64. They've been up and down all year. The fans, Tito, everybody's waiting for that push. They're starting to make it. Do the Reds have enough to catch the Mets in that wild card?
Man, I wanted to say yes, but I've been watching. Ellie De La Cruz is like my favorite player. I think he's Eric Davis as a switch hitter that was allowed to play short. Like, oh my God.
Same right? Number, too. Same number.
Yeah, I mean, I love everything about Ellie De La Cruz. Look, he hasn't homered in 22 straight games. He's not stealing bases. He's dealing with a quad injury. So he's playing through pain. So you take away his power. He doesn't have 20 home runs yet. I get it. He wants to play every day, which I value that so immensely, by the way. The fact that he wants to be in that lineup every single day. But when your most talented player is not, I mean, right now it looks like he's 80%. No homers. He's not stealing bases. Yes, he's hitting for average more than last year. He's improved from the right side dramatically. Defensively, he leads baseball in errors at short, but he also gets to more balls than most people think. And he's got a rocket of an arm, so he thinks he can make every play. So I'm not looking at the defense the same way everyone else looks at it. I think he's incredibly important to the team, but he's batting third every single day, and he's not 100%. This is not a Dodger lineup that's got 5 superstars in it, right? Noelvi Marte, they put him in right field. He was hitless yesterday with 3 strikeouts, but he's batting in front of Ellie De La Cruz, and I think Noelvi Marte is about to be a superstar. He's 23 years old. I think he's great. Miguel Andujar, they get this guy from the Athletics, and he's been one of the top players since the trade deadline, like in a piece that you go acquire. I don't know. I mean, he's like in the Andrew Vaughn camp for me. Do I think Andrew Vaughn is Mark McGwire? I don't think so, but he's been playing like it for the last 4 weeks. Miguel Andujar looks like he's Aaron Judge. I don't think he is. So at some point, reality's going to set in. Hunter Green's start last night was a bit discerning. I thought he was going to go to L.A. and dominate the Dodgers. The bullpen still scares me. So that's a long answer, but I just don't think so. I don't think the Reds, as much as I love the names in their starting rotation, will run down the New York Mets. And I'm leaning towards, I want to say they will, but Francisco Lindor, I don't think is going to let that happen. He's been that great the last month. Francisco Lindor will drag the New York Mets to the playoffs.
I love it, dude. This has been, dude. I actually smile because I feel like I could just give you the third outfielder for the for the Tampa Bay. You'd be like, this guy came up in Double A and Triple A, and I know you can. You know what I mean? So it's
Junior Caminero hit 2 bombs last night. He's putting with a 40-homer season. He just turned 22. Junior Caminero at third, and Carson Williams. Have you seen Carson Williams?
Oh, dude, that kid's a stud. Dude, there's some real power there, some real athleticism.
He's Gold Glove short, okay? He's what they look like. You hear it all the time. Natural instincts for the game. That left side of the infield for the Tampa Bay Rays will be the best left side of the infield for at least the next decade. That's how special those two players are. So I'm just coming up with stuff that I want to talk about.
Give me one more. Give me one more. Give me something that comes right into your brain right now. Right into your brain. Give me one more topic. One more thing that you're like, you know what? This is on my heart.
Nick Kurtz a year ago was drafted 4th overall out of Wake Forest, and on the desk I said that Nick Kurtz was my favorite player in the entire draft class. And I love comps. And my comp for Nick Kurtz was Jim Thome power with Sean Casey hit for average skills.
What? Are you serious? Because I actually think you might be right.
I did the Amsinger list last night where I did a rookie draft. If all the rookies were in a draft, so take away their stats, you got to see them. Act like you're a scout. Who would you draft number 1 out of all the rookies in Major League Baseball? And I put Nick Kurtz, but it's not even close. Jacob Mizorowski would be number 2. I think Roman Anthony, I put him in number 4. I love Roman Anthony. But Colson Montgomery's on a 50-homer pace as a shortstop. I had to put Colson Montgomery number 3. Nick Kurtz is Jim Thome power, Sean Casey bat the ball skills. He pinch hit. They gave him the day off yesterday. He pinch hits in the 8th inning, hits a 2-run bomb. He's on pace for 33 home runs in 111 games. Like it's unbelievable what he's doing as a rookie. Nick Kurtz is one of the next great superstar talents of our great sports. You were mentioning my Amsinger 7 on TikTok, and I've said it. That comp, it's holding true. Thome power, Sean Casey hit for average. That's Nick Kurtz.
That's a great player right there, dude. In that draft, because Charlie Condon went 1, right? Was it Bazana?
2 years ago. Yeah, okay. That was
okay. So
2 years ago.
And what drafted Kurtz go for? That was last year, right? It
was last year.
And how did he? Because I actually look at it and I knew
Jack Caglione was later in the draft.
Jack Caglione was like 7, I think.
Yes.
But when I look back at that draft, I know Kurtz had hurt his hammy at the beginning of the year, so came out the gates a little slow. Tom Walters, who coaches, at Wake Forest, just told me that this is the greatest college player I've ever seen, hitter I've ever seen. And I remember thinking, how does everyone else not know that? How does he end up going? How does he go 4? When I saw it, I'm like, how does Nick Kurtz go 4? Because I knew hearing that from Tom, and then knowing what he was doing for the years, and like seeing his bat the ball, how good he goes to left center. I thought, how did scouts miss on that? Did you think that at all that on draft day there?
Oh yeah, look. All we heard about was his body, his lack of athleticism. He's not a good base runner. He
can't steal first, bro. You can't steal first.
Earlier in this podcast, I talked about Ozzie Smith. If your defensive ability is game-changing, that is immense value. But, just because Max Muncy can play a little second and play third and play some first doesn't mean that is immense defensive value, that overrides a player that does the most important thing in the sport, which is hit a baseball at an all-star superstar level. That is still the most valuable thing in the game, hitting the baseball. And what Nick Kurtz did in his time at Wake Forest, and when you watched swings, you watch video, and you watch all the young players, I was like, dude, I love Jack Caglione. The only other player I would have taken over Nick Kurtz was Caglione if he was a two-way player. To me, it's criminal that he's not a two-way player. He wants to be a two-way player. And we're wondering why he's struggling. Maybe it's because his entire life he's been a two-way player. And now you're going, hey, welcome to the big leagues. Can you start thinking all the time about
hitting
the game? Why are you struggling, Jack? I don't get it. We took all of this stuff off your plate. That was this beautiful distraction called pitching. And we just want you to overthink hitting. Can you just overthink hitting? So if Caglione was a two-way player, I would have taken him number 1. But Nick Kurtz is to me, a bulletproof superstar hitter. And it's so funny because there's only one other hitter that I would describe that way, and it's his teammate, Jacob Wilson. I believe Jacob Wilson, and this is a crazy thing to say, will be a 300 hitter every single season of his career. We haven't seen stuff like that since Boggs and Quinn. He will be a 300 or better hitter every year of his career. Jacob Wilson and Nick Kurtz, I mean, those two guys right there are the pillars of this organization. When this organization moves to Vegas, this plan of building a winner for that new ballpark when they're ready,
It's real.
it's happening.
It's
Because
real.
these two guys are that special.
Wow, dude. Wow. This has been that special, dude. This has been incredible. Singer, thank you, brother, for your time. This has been absolutely incredible. Before we go, how can our fans, the mayor's office, I know you're on Instagram now. How can we find you? TikTok doing your dances or whatever. Now, I know you're doing your Greg's list, which are incredible. Some of the best stuff. Where can we find you, brother?
Well, I'm on TikTok at Greg Amsinger. On Instagram's at Greg.Amsinger. And I post everything on both platforms. I'm not a picture taker. I don't know why I'm not. I don't like taking pictures. I profile as someone that would love to take pictures of myself, but I'm just not into selfies. So I like making content, and I do it from my bar right here at my house. And I do like a little 3-minute daily show every single night, and I enjoy it thoroughly. It gives me something to like stay up, and I want to watch all the games. I wouldn't go to bed until all the games are over anyway. So I just enjoy talking baseball, as you can see with you, and it took me forever to get into social media, but I actually enjoy it. I don't care how many people follow it. It's just for me. I'm doing it because I really think it's fun to look up pictures of Nick Kurtz and post it, and then put Jim Thomey's head above him and Sean Casey's head below him. And that just entertains the nerdy Greg. So I'm just doing that on social media.
You're the best, man. Thanks a ton. I'd love to have you on again before this season's over. It's been too long for your first appearance here. You'll be a mainstay now moving forward, brother. I love you, man. I can't wait to see you. I'll see you in a couple weeks when I'm back up at the network.
All right. Say hi to my guy, Chinch. Love you, bro.
I will, dude. I will. Thanks, man. Hang on.